Hello, it's Jay here again and welcome to another video. So in this lesson we're going to continue on with the option menu script, and we're going to come directly below this last if block we created in the previous video. So if we're in the main menu scene, so it comes in between these four close brackets, and we can actually copy the if line and we'll paste that in, and we're going to get rid of one of the equals. We'll change that to exclamation point equals, so if scene does not equal main menu. Now, because this code isn't read if we're in any other scene, if we're in main menu and we are at the options button, this is for when we're actually in game. Again, there's a number of ways we could do this, but this works just fine. So we're going to use input get, and we'll use get key down this time, open and close brackets, and we want key code dot, and we want joystick button 7. So we'll come to the end of the line and we'll open and close brackets. So let's just enter there, and we'll break this up for commenting. I'll just move the comment. So we want does not equal the main menu, and then the start button is pressed. So because I want to keep this button always the same, I'm using button 7. That's the start button. On an Xbox 360 controller, again I'll have to double test this with a PS4, but I just want to get this up and working to begin with. And we'll come inside these brackets now, underscore options active, we're going to say equals, and then exclamation mark. So opposite way around to what we normally do it here. Underscore options active, close that line off. So what does this mean? This basically now works on a cycle, turning the options active on or off. So we'll put that into the comments, then cycle the options active. Well, I'll put on or off, and we'll create another if block. If in brackets options active double equals true, come below, we're going to say time dot time scale. Because we need to pause the game, we're going to say that's equal to 0, because obviously if we're in game we need to pause the actual match while we adjust our options settings. So we're going to say if options active is equal to true, we're going to say set the time scale to 0, and then when we unpause, so I'll copy that if block, So if we unpause and make that equal to false, we need to set the time scale back to 1, which is the default. You can put to the default of 1 in the comments if you wish. But that is now it for the actual late update. So let's come below here. And now we're going to deal with the on GUI. So we're going to use private void on GUI. The usual brackets. So let me just check this. Yep, that's fine. And we're going to do this a little bit different this time. So here, I'm going to create a void. And I'll give this a naming convention of options window. Open and close brackets will open and close again. And I'll explain all this as we come to it. But we're on the on GUI to begin with. If, in fact, let's just copy and paste. If options active is equal to false, we'll just put our normal return statement in place. Otherwise, we'll define an underscore options rect. We're going to say that's going to be equal to a GUI dot window. We're going to open and close brackets. We're going to close that line off. Inside the brackets, we're going to put 0, comma, options rect, comma, options window, which is the name of this function here, comma, and then we need to give it a string. We'll just say first, or you could put front as well if you wanted to. So with that in place, let's just break this up for commenting. And we're going to come to options window now before we comment. And in these brackets here, we're going to say int window ID. So as you can see, this red error has now gone. So what this does is basically should force our options GUI to be always at the front. The last thing we want is other GUI to obscure our options GUI. So that is the why we are doing this with int reference of 0 by the options rect size and enable this function with this string. So obviously we're defining the options rect here, but what's going to be different now is we're going to define our GUI within this void. So let's come inside, and I suppose I really should say, if you are wondering about things like this in Window ID and how to bring it through, it's always worth reading the documentation on the Unity website, because it's just simply easier and take too long to explain in these sort of videos. So I think the comments here sort of explain it well enough for the purposes of this video. Obviously I hoped that's the case. If not, you can always leave me a comment, and I could always do something different, but there we go. Let's continue on. So inside the options window function, GUI.bring window to front. So we'll open and close brackets, close that line off. So bring window to front, I think, is fairly self-explanatory. And we're going to say 0. Our int reference. I'll put this window to the front. And then what I'll do is I'll just use the normal GUI.draw texture. Open and close, new rect. Open and close again, 0, 0, so screen.width, screen.height, in between the closed brackets, options background, come to the end of the line, let's close that off. So I'm just defining the draw texture as same as the options rect. I believe I set that as, yep. So we may do something different with this, but again, we're just getting the basics up and running at the moment. So we'll draw a new texture. And we'll just use our normal comments at this position by these dimensions and draw this texture. And we'll just save that off. So let's downsize Visual Studio now. And I'll plug in my controller. Again, I'm using an Xbox 360. I will double check all this when I finally get time, and make sure it's all working with the PS4, and obviously make any changes should there need to be. Obviously, you need to make sure you have your options manager prefab in the splash screen. We did that in a previous video. Let's hit play. So I'm just pressing start, and obviously nothing's happening, which it should not do until we get to the main screen. So let's see if options works, which it does. So let's hit B and go back. As you can see, it fades back in because we're refreshing the scene. Let's do that again. So how do we know if it's only working when we hit options? Well, that's easy. We'll just hit one player. Obviously it would try and load the options menu as well as loading up the next scene if there was a glitch, because we're using the same button, but obviously no, that's fine. So here we are. Let's load in game, and I'm going to hit the start button. And if I hit the start button again, sorry, I caught one of the other buttons the first time, but as you can see, I can cycle on and off. And pay attention to the timer. As you can see, it's counting down. So I paused on 86. When I unpause, it starts at 86. Let's do it on 80. Hit start again, and it's still at 80 and starts counting down again. So we know the time scale is working and that part of the code is correct. And I think this is a good part to leave this video. As always, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you next time. And until then, as always, bye for now.